Mitch Street. Welcome, Mitch.
Yeah, thanks for coming over and talking a little bit.
Sounds great. This weekend you got a good matchup. You're traveling to Noblesville for their homecoming. But let's talk a little bit about the Huskies. And, you got some really good stats this season, especially in the passing game. It's a little bit different. Usually a Hamilton Heights coach team is pretty balanced, or maybe a little towards the running game more than the passing game. But this year you've got a strong passing game.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of been a little bit of just our balance of who we have this year. I mean, we've got, I think, a really solid back in the backfield, but we also have 5 or 6 really quality receivers, and offensively we've always tried to be a group that really balanced in our yards overall in terms of how many our rushing yards compared to our passing yards, but this particular year we have a large amount of receivers that have really equal in their catches. And I think I was looking, just happened to click on it. I hadn't necessarily done that throughout the season very much, but I looked at the county leaders just today actually, and I saw that we have, I think, 4 receivers in the top 15 in terms of yards, and which is impressive, But with our quarterback's done a nice job. Josh Feltz of passing that around to guys like Sterling Weatherford. Jesse Brown, who leads our team in yards, Kamen Lutz, who I think leads our team in catches, and Riley White, who leads our team in touchdowns. And so pretty diverse group. But on the ground, our average is pretty good. Unfortunately, we got into a game last week where we had to chase a little bit and ended up having to pass the ball a little bit more than what we'd like. But Clayton Cowan is a kid that last year had 1,300 yards for us. I think he's just under 400 or so for the year, 350 somewhere in that range right now, which he's averaging over 5 yards a carry or just right at that. And
Actually,
so 7 yards a carry. Yeah, so he's having a good year. It's just a matter of kind of taking what the defense gives us a little bit. One of the things that we've really struggled with offensively, we have our yards are really pretty good and probably higher than what they were last year, really. But we're not scoring the football, and that's a big thing for us that we got to improve on this week, against Noblesville, and to have a shot in the game at all, we've got to be able to score the football when we get it close. We've had some strikes and things like that throughout the season, but we've not been able to punch it in and finish drives. So that's a big thing for us this week, and it has to be a point of emphasis for us to have a chance.
Coach, let's talk about some of those guys up front, because Feltz couldn't get to do what he does, passing the ball without protection, and Cowan couldn't run the ball without protection.
I think that group was a big question mark coming this season. We only returned 1 starter on the offensive line, and so that group is very inexperienced, and we happened to lose Noah Souter early in the season, who was our 6th offensive lineman last year, but was probably one of our best linemen this season, and we lost him really leading into the Kokomo week, or coming out this right after that week that we got canceled. He got hurt that week in practice, so only played in week 1 for us, and he's missed pretty dearly up there. But regardless, we've had some guys that really stepped up. Troy Burgess is a kid that we really pushed. We think he's got a chance to be really good. He's a junior. Played a good amount of sophomore on the defensive line, but a kid who's really come along on the offensive side of the ball too, and is really our leader up front there. Zach Stevens is a returning starter for us, and he's a kid who started for us since he was a sophomore and has been undersized all 3 years that he's been here. But he's just a kid that just plays the game the right way. If you had to, he's not going to back down from anybody. He's just a real physical kid, and he's going to do the things he asks him to do. Another couple guys that have really surprised for us is, Jared Flanders, a kid that we were really we're hoping he could get things done at center, and he's undersized as well, but just plays really hard, and is become reliable. He's going to be tested, Friday night. The Noblesville's front's pretty good, and has some really talented kids up there. So he's going to be challenged, but he's had a good season for us, and has done a nice job, And then Hunter Wiles is our another tackle for us, and he as well has really improved each and every week. He's a kid that played tight end for us his first 2 years in our program. We moved him to tackle this year. and is learning the trade, but has done a really nice job and has started for us since week 1. And then in the absence of Noah Sauter, Luke Kerr as a sophomore who has a wealth of potential, can really be a really special player down the road, and he's gotten better as well each week. And I really think, 3 or 4 weeks from now, he's going to be a really good offensive lineman, especially if he continues on the track of the kind of progression that he's been on this last couple of weeks in this crash course of playing, starting varsity football as a sophomore on the offensive line. In our system, that's not an easy thing to do, but he's done a really nice job for us, and we expect big things from him. But, you look last week, we yet again moved the football and just didn't score, and turned the ball over and things like that. And our offensive line, we only rushed for 70 yards last week, but we averaged, our running backs averaged over 5 yards a carry, and right under 6, I think, and so we were there. We just, just didn't put ourselves in a position to where we could be balanced, and be in a good position. But those guys are really doing a nice job up front. And for us, it's a matter of just the really small little things that are going to allow us to execute and finish drives and put more points on the board.
Well, good, Coach. One thing about let's talk a little bit about that defense, because you've got a good defense now. One of the things that maybe a lot of people don't realize, but in 1A, 2A, and 3A football, and some 4A, there's a lot of kids that have to go both ways. So when you play 3A teams, you pretty well, both of you are doing the same thing, going both ways with teams. But when you go play a 6A team, it's a little bit different.
Yeah, that's always been, several years ago. I've been, it's my 9th year here. We tried really hard to be 2 platoon as much as possible, and we play a lot of guys, but we don't. In terms of we made a decision about 7 years ago that if we really wanted to be one of the elite level teams in 3A, we're going to have to play more guys both ways, and especially when we got into the tournament and we're going against some of the upper echelons of 3A, because we always seem to be in a sectional that has a Chittard or a West Lafayette, and to beat those guys, you got to be able to do that. And some of those 3A teams can definitely pull it off more so than what we could. We have a lot of depth, but we have a lot of really good young kids, but and they can spell guys, but in terms of playing for long periods of time, that's not easy for them to do. But we do have I think about 6 or 7 guys that play both ways pretty consistently. Some get more breaks than others. Our secondary guys, guys like Sterling Weatherford and Kamen Lutz and Riley White, and even Clayton Cowan this year, which he didn't do last year, are playing both ways and are on the field a ton. And Jesse Brown's another kid that's on the field a lot this year, as well as a receiver and a cornerback. But definitely, when you look at those guys and go against Noblesville, that's a tough thing. The last couple of years, I think the first year we played them in this 3-year series. Now I know previously they played, but it was 14-7 at the half. And we were right there and kind of trading blows back and forth, and turned the ball, made plays and had a chance to do it. And last year was the same thing. Maybe even more so. They ran away with it in the second half 2 years ago, and last year they kind of got away from us late, but we were right there in the thick of things for most of the game, and yet again had opportunities to move the football and did really move the football pretty well against them last year, but just didn't score. Kind of stalled out in the red zone or those types of things. But we were able to control the football and flip the field and gave ourselves a chance to be in the game. But that depth definitely plays a role in it. But it's not an excuse. It's a thing that we have to, like I said, some of the upper echelon teams in 3A, which we aspire to be year in and year out. You're going to have to deal with those things and deal with depth from other teams. They're going to have to play. You're going to have to fight through that and play. And so I think I mentioned to someone else I was interviewed earlier this week about that. All those are really good tests for us, because in order for us to win, we've got to execute throughout the whole game, on all 3 phases of the game, and we got to be near perfection, and some of the teams that you face when you get into the tournament, you've got to do that to have a chance. When we face, West Lafayette at some point in the tournament, we're going to have to execute at that level in order for us to be successful. And so, definitely a good test for us, and going to have to be something that we really execute at a high level.
Absolutely, Coach. Now, let's talk a little bit, because you've been head coach, for 9 years now, or?
Yes, this is my 9th season here overall. I've been here. This is my 6th year as head coach, and I was here 3 years previously as an assistant. And It's been a blast. I worked for Jason Simmons for 2 years when he was here, and he had become close in those 2 years, and have remained pretty close over the last 6 years in his absence. But it's my 9th year here.
Yeah, and I wanted to talk about that too. I mean, Jason was up here, had great success, but looking down through the years, for many years, Hamilton Heights has always been a great football program. I mean, this area supports all our sports, but football is very, very important part to the Husky Nation, and you have a little bit of pressure. I mean, it's not like some 1, 2, 3A schools that they expect you to win here.
Oh, absolutely. And I think you, as a coach, you want to be in those positions to where there's an expectation and there's a sense of accountability. I think we understand. We have really throughout much of the 2000s and even maybe a little before that, but definitely since 2000, this team's had a lot of success. We've won a wealth of conference championships and have won a handful of sectionals and 2 or 3 regionals, and of course in 2012 we were fortunate enough to be in the state championship game and lost there. But expectations are good. It is a challenging deal. Our community expects to be successful, and our players do as well. And it's a good thing overall, but it is challenging too. You want your kids to go in each game, and I mean, going into tomorrow night, our kids are going to go in expecting to win. They understand that's going to be a really tough matchup. They understand the all the things that are kind of stacked against us in terms of numbers and depth and all those types of things. But you don't want your kids ever going into a contest feeling like you can't win. And our kids definitely feel like there's a chance there, but they understand that they have to play at a high level, and this is something that's kind of been built into our culture here from young ages on up, that that we have success and we expect success, and so definitely like working in that type of environment.
Well, yeah, and you touched on it just now, just briefly, but the entire program. I mean, this is not just Hamilton Heights football team that Coach Mitch Street coaches on Friday night. This is an entire program, and you have a great middle school and youth program, which has allowed you to have a very successful football team at the high school level, but it's definitely a program.
Sure. I think that there's been a lot of people who have invested a lot of time and energy and influence into those kids, and I've been blessed that I have people, like I said, like you mentioned, at the middle school and the youth program, to where it's not a me thing. It's the guys that they care about the program, and they care about what the product we're putting out there and the work which we put into it, and there's countless guys in that youth program. There's countless coaches in that youth program. There's been guys that have been invested time in the middle school for years and years and years, and really proud of what we have here. It's on all of us to keep it going. I think that, like getting through a school, you have waves. Some years are better than others, but some classes are better than others. But that's just nature of it. I think at all levels, but definitely at the 3A level and below, I think you have those waves. And the thing I really like about this is, over the last couple of years, we've had some classes have been better than others, but the work and effort and those types of things can a lot of times carry over, can overshadow and overcome some of those obstacles that you may have in some personnel and those types of things. But you look at guys like Jason Simmons and guys before him even, and that were the program was important to them. I think if you talk to those people even today, they would say the same thing. Even if they've moved on to do different things, that Hamilton's football is a special thing, and it's important to people, and it's something you're proud to be a part of, or have been a part of.
Yeah, the funny thing you say that, when I talked to Coach Simmons this week and we did our interview, one of the comments he made was, this game's a little bit different for me because I feel like I've had a small part in helping the Husky program be where it is today, and so even though you leave that the Husky organization or program, you still have a lot of great pride that it's still going on.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I think he, as an assistant, even before he was head coach here, he was here for several years in that capacity, and then his first 2 years, we had obviously had a ton of success, and were able to kind of take the program from a kind of a rough stretch there, and for a year or so there, and really got it turned around pretty quickly and got it moving in the right direction, and I think that when I took over, he gave me an opportunity to really encourage my name and put my name out there to get started and get in this role and encourage people in this community to give me a chance, so I owe a lot to him and very thankful for him and what he's done for us in our program. He has had a bigger part probably in what he even knows or thinks or is willing to admit, at least in our program. But definitely excited for him and what's going on there in Noblesville, and I think he has it going in the right direction there.
Well, he must have had a little influence because when you took over as head coach at Hamilton Heights, you were the youngest coach about the youngest coach in the state of Indiana. So,
yeah, I mean, when he resigned, he called me, and I was actually on vacation in Hawaii actually, and I got a 3 a.m. wake up call, and he's telling me that he's resigning and he's going to push my name out there to be the next head coach, and I was thinking, I don't know what he was thinking, but. Definitely, it's such a learning experience. You're never ready to be a head coach. I truly believe that after doing it for 6 years, you're never ready to step into that role. But you're going to learn under fire, and I think even in new positions, I think that you're never ready. It's just a matter of surrounding yourself with good people, being blessed with good players, and community support. And we've been fortunate to have that for a long time here, and it's. Like you mentioned before, it's not about me. It's not anything I've done per se. It's just that when you surround yourself with good people and you have good kids and you do it the right way, you normally have success.
That's what good leaders do, Coach.
Oh, yeah, I appreciate that.
Well, I've had the interview here today with Hamilton Heights coach Mitch Street, and he'll be traveling to Noblesville for homecoming, and I'm sure during the evening he'll hook up with his old friend Jason Simmons, and they'll have a little chat. But good luck, Coach, on this Friday, and good luck for the rest of the season because you got a game coming up with Lucas Oil here in a couple of weeks. Yeah,
we're fortunate to have the opportunity to go back and play Twin Lakes at Lucas Oil Stadium there on October 1st, next Saturday. And definitely be good for our kids. We missed out on the opportunity when the tornadoes up in Kokomo and that game was canceled. So excited for our kids to have the opportunity. None of those kids have played there, so that's a great opportunity for those kids.
Well, I'll see you Friday night at Noblesville because HTTV will be there broadcasting live. So I'll see you next Friday. I'll see you on Friday.